decided that after we exchanged emails the other day and we were on the topic of this defensive thing, that maybe I could show or explain it better, my feelings on it, to you by getting some clips, which we'll have later, and show you some of the research work that I've done on it, which is pretty sketchy right now, but you'll see it. So what I'm going to do is show you a chart, and I can do this because of, I do it all the time for coaches. I have all the things I need to provide that. First thing I want to do is show you a simple chart that I took and to determine some things in this, what I feel is a different situation for NBA defenses right now, and it might be even get more so. And so I wanted to find out just how many they ran and what the results were. This will be about a 5 or 6 minute chart, but I think it will show you some very definite things that you need to think about. And I hope I'm not intruding on anything. I just want to help you, or not help you so much as give you my ideas on it after looking at it quite a long time. So I'll just go right now to the chart, and then we will come back and I'll show you on paper what I think the problem is. So we'll go to the chart. Well, this is the chart, and remember now, this is only for 6 quarters of a playoff game. Boston was in at least 4 of those quarters, but it does give you a clear picture of how many times you have to defend this during a game, and also the numbers of what can happen on each one. But try to keep in mind that the critical thing that happens in these screens and random types of things in the handbags is that it creates a penetration possibility, as that penetration itself is only so effective. But what is effective is that your defense must adjust, and in adjusting they turn to scramble. They're just all mixed up, may not have the right guy, might not be in the right position, they're chasing people. You'll see in the films what I'm talking about. So keep that in mind, because that is what you want to be able to defend, is staying out of that scramble. And that should indicate to you how you want to play each one of these situations. Well, very quickly, they had 55 times that they had a random pick and roll. Out of that 55, 41 times they actually made an effort to penetrate. There was a number of times where they'd come off that screen and dribble out and pass to another guy, but 41 of the times they actually tried to work for penetration. They only scored 14 points off of that in random. They penetrated and passed 9 times, not a lot of times, but very effective times. They scored 8 points in this particular random. And they only took 2 shots. The shots they're taking here are not after the penetration, but in place of the penetration. In other words, they use the screen to get that initial screen to get a shot. So for random, they scored 22 points from 41 attempts, or 0.40 OER, which is not good. So you can go down the list here, and you can see what happened in each one. Without a doubt, isolation, and I want to explain that, It is not where they have a set idea of isolating. It's the one-on-one drives that come during because of penetration. In other words, they end scramble, and now that creates openings. Now you'll also see how good Golden State is at remedying that. I'll show you in the films. But the bottom line here is they didn't do very well on penetration, but I was surprised at how difficult they had to get scoring at the basket. They had opportunities. Now the good players could, like LeBron, but the rest of them were missing shots and getting them half blocked and that kind of thing. But the penetration and pass was very effective. And this will show you that there aren't many times they take a shot off that screen. So that should be a part of your planning. Don't plan to stop that shot. Plan to stop the penetration, which puts you in scramble. Do it in that type of a way. So you can see this. I thought it might be interesting. 6 times, 6 quarters is not enough, except it does show you in 6 quarters you had 156 penetrations. That's about 25 per quarter for both teams now. So basically, you work that out, and it means they're gonna run one of these four, 100 around 100 times a game. Split that between two teams, and you're looking at 45 to 50 times a game that you have to defend these. That's a big number, and they don't run plays that much, and so you have to prepare for them to do that. Well, I want to leave the chart now and get to the films. Okay, this will start with an out of bounds. Look at the clock. 11:08 in the game, we get our first event. Look on this weak side. First of all, with the ball over here, I don't know that those guys have to be that aggressive to just body up to them. And you'll see why in just a little bit. Okay, here Smith is going over the top. Now what we want to look for, what I want to show you here, is not so much what happens as what's happening right here. Look at these guys, the way they're playing, and the space down in here for penetration. And it would leave LeBron all alone. You'll see that's what happens. Now he's fighting over the top. What happens is this guy switches. Now you would assume that that was automatic and that this guy should recognize that switch. But regardless whether he does or not, look where he's going to end up. If this guy switches, he's on this side of the screener. Screener's got a clean shot right down the middle. This is the place I'm talking about, going over the top when you switch. Now maybe they were trapping. I can't really figure out what they were doing, but you can see what happens. Okay, I'm going to back this up just a little ways and take another look at it. What I want you to see here is I talked about it in the early part of the video. If you are deciding to go under in the screen, which if you can do it successfully, uh, keeps your team intact. It doesn't require any kind of rotating or any kind of picking up if you can do that cleanly. But sometimes you can't do it cleanly. I think Golden State wants to do that. But are they going to make an error or a mistake right here? And I'll show you. Um, but but what happens is that they force that screener down, the screener's man down, and the screener goes down lower, and then it's almost impossible to go under and without having some problems. So we'll go slowly through this right here. You see where the screen is now. He's, for one thing, he's too far off of this man to make a good decision. I think I have mentioned to you that there was a guy that played for Detroit when I was at Cleveland that was really a fine defensive player, but when he saw a screening situation like this, he would go up on him because then he could decide where he wanted to go. But where he's right now, he's thinking, I got to go under, I'm pretty sure. And he tries to. But look at the space here. Even if your idea is to go under, when they leave this space, go over, because it's the same, has the same effect. You will not have to disturb your team defense at all. But he decides that he's going under. And here's what happens. Now the switch comes. An easy play. If he was just trained to look at the situation in that case. Now, you know, they got a mismatch, but yet I like the way that Golden State plays. You know, they're not really hugging up on anybody. They are hard to get into scramble, by the way, you'll see. And even in this particular play where they get beat, they're difficult. Look right here. There's a little screen over here. And they're switching it apparently, which I don't really know why they have to do it over there. But they're in good position here. They just, because of that switch, there it goes. You know, that just a little mistake in communication, and you break down. There's a fine line between, as I've said before, fine line between success and failure. And it's those little details that usually determine whether you're going to be successful or not. I'll let it go so you can see what happens. You know, pretty easy basket. Okay, there's some good and bad in this, but it goes along with what we're talking about, so I wanted you to see it. I don't like players not being able to see man and ball. I think you learn that when you're in eighth grade, uh, and this is a violation of that. Okay, now he gets. Luckily, that guy falls. Smith falls, but he gets really rubbed off back here on that screen. But still, he fights through. But what I like to see, and Golden State's good at it, is how they're not, bodying up with anybody. They're playing pretty sound defensive balls here. This guy's playing off where he can help on any kind of drive. These guys are not overplaying by any means, so they're still in a position to help. And this is good here. They just loosened up and came on the ball side of that. So many people try to fight over that, and then you're just opening yourself. But Golden State does a nice job of positioning and being formed well. Okay, he was going under. This is good. They switch. Now watch the difference from this switch from what we were seeing with Cleveland. He's in great shape because the switch was definite. He was going under. Now he has the guy right where he wants him. Maybe not where he wants him, but he's under control. And again, the defense, even 30 is overplaying here, not really hard. But they're keeping formed. They're not getting into scramble. Now, most penetration, by the way, in a study that we did, is one on one. It isn't off of the screens and everything like you might think, though you have to defend that because they run it a lot. Um, this is one on one now. Uh, and look at their position. You want LeBron to look and see all of your players jamming in there and try to get him in a position where he doesn't want to drive. Because if he wants to drive and does it, he's so strong and so quick. You'll see in just a little bit. This guy does not play a good defense. This guy right here taps the ball away. That's good. Kind of a form of digging, but they're formed. You see. Now LeBron's going to make a heck of a play here, but I don't think he was forced into a situation where he had to make a heck of a play by the way that they were playing. This guy's got to get back over here quick, and I think he does. Okay, that kind of, even when you play good defense, but the problem was, and I think I can back it up a little bit here. Okay, right here, I don't know. I guess he was going to try to contest. But even here, you should chase your man and not just watch for somebody else to pick him up. But like I say, it was an usual play. I want to back that up. We got into it a little bit too quick. Here. This guy's coming up to set a screen. Golden State likes to slip the screen a lot, and the way Cleveland's playing it, it makes it pretty tough on the Cleveland defense. You'll see here in just a minute. He's going over the top, which he probably should. There's plenty of space to go over the top. The problem is this guy jumps out to switch, and this guy goes. But he's not even setting a screen. He's just slipping the screen and going right through you because it became very obvious that they're going to switch everything, and yet they don't really, you know, control that switch very well. So he goes out really hard, and he's had been going over the top. So now this guy just slips right down into the middle. Look at the space that little mistake, or not, I wouldn't say it's a mistake because obviously this must have been their game plan. Their plan was to make this kind of a switch. And I don't know, maybe they're trying to trap this, but they sure don't. You better, if you're going to trap, you better get a good trap on because you're leaving a lot of space wide open for penetration, and they do. And this is a classic case of just creating scramble on the defensive end. Here is one guy. He's there. This guy's there. This poor guy, he doesn't know what to do. But now they got guys up here, here, and this guy is probably trying to figure out what his position should be. And so once you get a defense playing like that, it's going to be pretty easy to get a shot. This guy doesn't take the shot, but see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just Golden State doesn't do a good job here. Usually they do of just getting right into something. They kind of stand around and let the defense get set again. I don't know why he pitched it out there. I know the talk is so much about threes, but when you got a 2 foot shot in here, I think I'd take that first before I worried about this. Well, we'll go to the next one. Okay, we're going to see, this is the last one, but I want to point out something to you. Uh, Let me see if I can. There's some nice stuff in here. See, they were really making an effort to go under. Now the switch comes, and this guy isn't as great a position as I would like, but still okay. He's not at least going to get this guy because he's still in his movement. He's going to work his way around there. And this ball handler, he could have very easily, but he was too far off. Needs to be up on him a little bit more. He could have went right over there, this guy. And then you cause no problems. Everything is under control. This guy can defense him. You don't have that not mix up so much, but as it creates a uncomfortable defensive situation. But they do it pretty well. See how he moved, and he got him. Now he didn't make any effort, but look at this formation. Now, you have to think twice about trying to drive when you see all of this. I wish this guy was seeing the ball. But much more contained than what you're watching in the dark uniforms when they're on defense. It's not contained at all. It's very chaotic almost. But you got to handle these screens. They're all over the place, screen at the ball. You have to handle that because otherwise you're going to get in scramble, and then the offense has the advantage. I thought I thought he came out a little bit too hard. This guy was okay, but when he jumped way out, I don't think you need to do that. I think you just it gets everything kind of out of kilter. Look at the whites compared to how Cleveland was playing these situations. Good defense. I, I like it played a little differently, but good effort and good help positions. Well, that's the last clip. But you know, you could go through the game and you could get 40 to 45 of them. But the thing we're trying to you know develop is a way of handling all those situations, and they're not easy to draw up even, and they're not easy to find. Every one of them's just a little bit different when you get on the floor. You can draw it up, but for the player's sake, they have to be practiced in these things, because they're not going to be exactly the way you envision it. Everyone is different, so they have to be able to react to that difference, and that just takes a lot of practice.